Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the October 24th, 2020 edition of Pro Wrestling Throwdown. I'm Caleb Black. This is Luke the Big Dog Williams, our in-studio producer, the Mighty Max Fury, and we are talking Bound for Glory. Tonight is Impact's main, big, final pay-per-view to kick off their season. Their version of the Super Bowl, their version of the World Series. I'm not going to say their version of the other thing, but you know what I'm getting at. So we thought it would be fun to talk about our favorite Bound for Glory matches. So this is a top 5 Bound for Glory matches. Now, these are just the best matches in our opinions, or our favorite matches. Maybe not necessarily technical classics or whatever, but a damn good series of matches. Luke, Why don't you start us off?
All right, well, I will start off.
Want to just go 1, 1, 1, 1?
Yep, sounds good to me.
Cool.
All right, first match. The top 5 that I can remember anyway, is we're going to go back to Bound for Glory 06. For the X Division title was Senshi versus Chris Saban.
Possibly my favorite X Division title match ever.
The reason it sticks out in my mind is, well, Saban over Loki, Senshi, is it was the first X Division match I can remember in that era in my mind that the match was ended by a schoolboy. Yeah. Like, you didn't see that back in the X Division days.
More
back then. The schoolboy was unheard of for a finish or something like that.
You know what I remember most about that match, and it's such a small detail, but Senshi's got Saban locked up in that Dragon Sleeper. Yeah. And then just starts nailing him with those elbow shots. Yep. And, like, watching it, I remember, because at 05, I was 15 years old, just a massive wrestling fan at the time, hadn't gotten into the business. I was watching it. I was like, holy shit, he is...
06.
06, sorry, I was 16. But holy shit, he is just drilling him. And I mean, he was pounding away. Such a great match, and it's so good that it also...
It's two of the hardest hitting wrestlers in the X Division at that time, too.
Yeah. That's such a good match that it also made my list.
Oh, right on.
I'll take it away with the next one, also Bound for Glory 2006. Christopher Daniels and AJ Styles defended the TNA Tag Team titles against Homicide and Hernandez in a 6-side steel.
Inside the cage, yep.
And they beat the fuck out of each other. It was so good. Homicide tossed Daniels clear across the ring with that border toss. I believe LAX ended up winning the tag team titles that night.
I believe so.
Beating the
Dream Team. Yeah. We're going to jump from 06. We're going to jump back in time to Monsters Ball of 05. Was Jeff Hardy versus Sabu versus Rhino versus The Abyss. Yeah. It sticks out in my mind because it was Rhino's crowning achievement of winning the TNA Championship.
Well, he didn't win the championship in that match. He would later go on to win the original main event schedule was Kevin Nash and Jeff Jarrett, and Kevin Nash, for some reason, didn't make the event. Rhino would go on after the Monsters Ball to win a 20-man battle royal into the main event and beat Jeff Jarrett. Also,
like I said, went on to win the TNA title.
That fucking pile driver that Rhino finishes Jeff Hardy with off the second rope.
Vicious.
Just nasty. Also... made my list, except I just wrote Bound for Glory 2005, the Rhino show.
Right. That ain't no joke. Yeah, fantastic pay-per-view from beginning to end. Yeah. Something that match didn't get canceled until they were on the air. Yeah.
It was the night of the pay-per-view was whenever Jeff Jarrett sat down with the Rhino and was like, put the belt on you.
Right.
And Rhino was like, that's cool. Can I go back to sleep now?
Yeah.
He called him at the hotel room. Also, traveling forward in time a little bit, past 2005, 2006, my next 2 matches are from 2012. The first of which is Robert Roode versus James Storm.
Oh, fantastic.
They had the breakup of Beer Money, and they built this for like 9 months of these guys just trying to get after each other. Brutal fight. Hell of a match. If you haven't seen it, you need to see it. Go back and watch James Storm. I mean, Robert Roode cracks James Storm with that beer bottle. And I mean, just shatters it. Oh,
that was towards my first run with TNA. Yeah. Towards the end of it. Yeah. Shortly after that, it lost my attention was after the Robert Roode, Bobby Roode at the time. Yeah. And James Storm feud. Once that ended, it was just kind of like the ending of an era.
It's such a shame they broke them up because one of my all-time favorite tag teams, Beer Money.
Yes. Gonna jump back to 05, Bound for Glory with the very first TNA Iron Man match for the X Division title, AJ Styles versus Christopher Daniels. Now, they only went 30 minutes.
Right.
Rather than an hour, but match was a technical showcase. I mean,
regarded as among like the absolute best technical wrestling match of TNA.
And the crazy part is I've noticed online through a lot of things is you either really liked it or you didn't. Really hated it. Yeah. You know what I mean? There was no in between.
Yeah.
Because for the first time, in my opinion, the X Division title wasn't contested in a holy shit off the top rope flying battle. It was more
a technical
ground game.
and both guys could fly and did in that match.
Yeah, but
they wrestled the entire match and it was fantastic.
AJ, of course, over Daniels.
Yeah, which is one of the few times during that era that I really felt like Daniels should have won that match.
Yes.
Like AJ should have put him over. And then of course Daniels ends up winning like a month later. It's the same thing with Saban beat Senshi for the belt. And they took it off of him the following Impact broadcast. He put it back on AJ Styles. My last one, 2012, Jeff Hardy versus Austin Aries for the TNA World title. Austin Aries would turn in his X Division Championship at Destination X, Option C. For a title shot, would go on a...
That was the first Option C.
That was the first Option C. Would go on to have a great title run. Eventually would turn heel and then would lose to the babyface Jeff Hardy, only for Jeff to turn around and join Immortal. It's TNA's booking for you. But outstanding match.
Because we shared the first one in the beginning, I've got two more.
Go for it.
We're going to go to 09, Monsters Ball. Abyss versus Mick Foley with Dr. Stevie as the referee. For the plain and simple fact, I always loved Mick Foley. Yeah. He's one of my top favorites in professional wrestling, and I always wanted to see him wrestle Abyss. Yeah. And I got to. So for me, it might not be great for a lot of people, but for me, it was fantastic. Yeah. Of course, Abyss went over Foley. Still hot about that. And my number one in Bound for Glory history, in my opinion, was Bound for Glory of 07, and it was Joe versus Christian.
Yep.
With Samoa Joe not only winning the match, but ending Christian Cage's 23-month winning streak.
Yep. That didn't lose a match.
Not one.
Man.
And what a better guy to put over. And it did. It put Joe over huge.
Yes, it did.
When he beat Christian Cage. But that, folks, is my number one.
That's our top five. Real quick, do you remember the premise of the original Monsters Ball match? The stipulations for it? It was, I can tell you who was in the first one. It was Raven, Abyss, and Monty Brown.
Yep.
In a three-man Monsters Ball. And the original concept was they would lock the wrestlers.
That wasn't at the time called Full Metal Mayhem before it was Monsters Ball?
No. Monsters Ball was the one they would lock them in a dark room with no food, no water, no light for, 12 hours. And they did all those hard cam vignettes with Monty Brown
I remember
and Raven.
that now.
And I remember so vividly Raven
coming to Asylum days, wasn't it? It was like right at the end of the
right at the end of the Asylum or right at the beginning of the Impact
when Abyss used to wear that jumpsuit with the numbers on the back.
And Raven comes to the ring and he's wiping his... Oh, man, it's so good. What a hokey, kooky fucking stipulation.
But it worked.
It worked. It was so great. Guys, that's our Bound for Glory Top 5 segment. What are some of your favorite Bound for Glory matches? You know what to do. Let us know in the comments down below. Send us an email at prowrestlingthrowdown@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/prowrestlingthrowdown. Follow us on Twitter at prowrestlingtd. And stay tuned for the Superstar Spotlight featuring Ethan Page, played by Julian, coming up next.